know actually who God was properly, which I understood later. Then slowly, when I was growing up, I finally accepted God in my 12th standard, following after my 12th standard. Then I got into medicine after 2 years because I was a very vagrant kid at that point of time. I did not attend even one class in my 12th class. I just bunked every class. I just wrote the exams. I passed the exams, and I know God only cleared my exams. I somehow got through, and then I did my coaching. I was studying there, and there I met some friend of mine who is right now working in CMC, even in anesthesia. And I saw that fellow, and I was thinking, how is this person actually going to church when nobody is there around? Because my parents were there, so I was going to church, and I was thinking I was very good. But this fellow was going to church without anybody, and I was thinking, okay, this is also a small thing which I should also be a Christian, I should also be going. So that is how I started going to church properly on my own. That is how my roots started on my lonely relationship with Lord. Later, when I joined medical college, I started studying in MNR Medical College. It is in Sangareddy. It is nearby in the corners of Hyderabad. There, when I joined, some people came to my college from EMFI. I think you people know Dr. Stalin, who is a psychiatrist. He was also one of them. And he was nearly my batch. He was just 1 year senior batch to me. I was from 2K5 batch, he was from 2K6 batch. And he came, and along with him, quite a lot of seniors came, and they started telling us we should start a fellowship, we should start praying to God. And I was thinking, how will we pray here? It is not very natural and as I was being very timid, so I did not understand. That's how it started, and slowly I attended a EMFI camp, state camp then, because they were actually coming and calling us for a camp. I went to the camp there, and that is where actually I realized what I was not knowing. I understood that actually it was not a what, it was a who. I did not know God. I understood it is very important, and I understood the importance of the decision which I had to take. I took the decision, and I stood up saying that, Lord, I will live for you from today. And I did not understand what to do after that. That day I was same way I was standing, and my legs were shaking, my knees were hitting each other. But I did not know what to do after that. I went back to the college, I was clueless. Nobody was there around for us to be senioring around or telling us what to do. Suddenly I found one of my friend who was not known to me as a Christian. He actually accepted Christ in his 7th standard in a hostel. And he's been a Christian, and he's been asking me doubts so many times about the Bible. I have been talking to him. He said, David, why don't we pray? I don't know how he came to know that I accepted Christ in the fellowship, but then we started praying, and it went on. And that is how I went to EMFI, and I started working along with EMFI. And in my 2nd year, I attended a camp. I heard Dr. Jayashree Chogle. I don't know if anybody knows her, but she worked in Maharashtra somewhere, I think. And when I heard her, I was really challenged. I was thinking, there are so many poor people I do not even know. Because I was living in a city, I did not understand the burden of this. So I thought, okay, fine, this is a thing which I have to think. And I was praying about it. Later in my 3rd year of medicine, I attended another state camp. There one of the preachers started telling and challenging us if anybody would want to go to missions for 1 year. Just for 1 year after internship. Don't do anything, just go after internship, just go. Go there, you'll not lose much time, but just go there. I think it was Mr. Matthew Samuel, I think. I don't know, I don't remember the name. Some Matthew was there in the name. But anyways, then again, it was so much ringing to what I was actually praying to God for. I understood this is the right trial for me. I'll stand up. And I stood up. I closed my eyes when I stood up. When I got up and I opened my eyes, nobody was around. I was the lonely person standing there. I was so surprised, and somehow I met people, and they said, okay, fine, good, we'll pray for you, and I prayed, and I went back. Final year started. I flunked my final year because I totally moved away from God by this time, and I was again a vagrant. And then when I lost my connection with the Lord in my final year, I did horrible things actually in that year. And later on, God again caught me up, and somehow I actually passed it out very easily in the supplies. And then I went back to Usmania to do my internship, because now I reinstated thinking that, okay, fine, I have been running away from God, now I have to try getting back to. So I went there and I was working with Usmania and Gandhi fellowships, and I was praying with them and dealing with them. And at that point of time, I came to Shiloh, and I heard Dr. Vijay and Dr. Ann speaking there for the first time, but I did not hear the full message of them. By the time I came to the fellowship, I came to the meeting session which they were speaking, it was at the end. I hardly met them. This is how it started, and when I went back, I was seriously thinking what I should be doing now. Because I promised the Lord I am going to go for missions, and I really did not want to go for missions at that point of time, and I really wanted to be attached to God. I was in that crossroads where I think Sir was telling, where you look very nice to everybody, but inside you are at humongous horror, which you cannot battle it out without the grace of God. And I was really struggling with how I should not go and how I should be with God still, because I have to break my promise. At that point of time in December, at the end of my internship, my mother was diagnosed with carcinoma in situ of breast, and they had to do a surgery on her. They did a mastectomy, and following that, I found an excuse. I just went and knelt down and I said, Lord, my mother needs me. What do you think I should do? See, I cannot leave. And I was trying to quote verses from the Bible to the Lord, saying that you cannot leave your parents and say this is Qurban and stuff. And at that point of time, I was reading my Bible, and this was the verse which God spoke to me at that point of time. It was from Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 21. It says, Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 21, it says, when you make a vow to the Lord your God, you shall not delay to pay it, for the Lord your God will surely require it of you, and it would be sin to you. I was really afraid. I was really shaking with fear, because I did not want to keep my promise. And then I said, okay, Lord, now I cannot fight with you anymore. I am going to go to missions. And that is for 1 year anyways, I'll go, but what next? Where should I go? I did not know. I never kept my foot outside of my place. And I was so naive, I did not have any money. We were we were really on the poorer side of the lower middle class kind of people. And we were hardly making stuff to pay fees and food and all those things. I did not have a shoe until I joined medical college. It was the status we were in. So it was going on in this way, and I said, okay, fine, Lord, I'll go. But when I thought and I still prayed about my mom, I felt God telling me like this, you stay here, you take care of your mom. But if you go, I will take care of your mom. So I thought, Lord, that deal is also done. I can trust you completely now, because you are talking very plain to me. It is like you're talking very clearly to me. I cannot run away from this, because it's very straightforward to me. So then I thought, okay, fine, I'll decide, I'll go. And then I started preparing to go, and I really did not know where to go. So I thought, fine, I have to pray. So I just went and knelt down and prayed. And I asked God, Lord, I will ask this sister, and after that sister, I'll call this brother. After this brother, I'll call this uncle. There are 3 people. The first one's name was Shirishaka. She was a senior to me. She worked in ODC. So I thought I'll ask her advice about how to go about it. And if she doesn't respond to my call, I'll call another brother named Shankar. If he also doesn't answer, then I'll call the senior most, Manohar Paul uncle, who was also a missions person in Sadbharwa, I think so. But he was working along with Gandhi people, so I was praying about this. After prayer, again the same thing. I forgot everything. I started watching cricket and I was enjoying cricket. And at night at 8 o'clock, I get a call. I get a call from Shirishaka. And she was talking to me normally, everything. And I asked, Akka, what happened? Why did you call? Then she said, I suddenly was remembering, what are you planning to do with the decision that you took? You said you will go to missions. What will you do? She said. I was so surprised, I forgot, but God made her remember and He made her call me. It maybe if God reminded me, it would not have been so profound, but she called me, so I was very much surprised. I was thinking, how is God coming behind me so much, even when I'm trying to move away from what I'm actually interested in? And I thought, okay, fine, Akka, I did not decide the place, I don't know what to do. That is the reason actually I was going to call you. Then she told me, I told I want to go to ODC because it is near to house, I can easily come back home. But she said, David, the financial status of your family is currently not good, so I would suggest you to go to EHA. Don't go to ODC currently. And EHA also, I was thinking of going to Raxol because I knew quite of a friend, quite of a fellowship people who went to Raxol. Quite a lot of Telugu fellows were there. So I thought I'll go there. I was searching for comfortable places. Then she said, Raxol is very established. Quite a lot of people are there. They don't need you. If you go there, you're not going to be of help. So why don't you go to Makunda Hospital? Then I was thinking, Makunda Hospital, I don't even know that name. Where is it? It's in Assam. Try going, because that was the people who came to Shiloh then. And she gave me the number of EHA. So I called the EHA office and they gave me Dr. Vijay's number. I called and he gave it to ma'am. I talked to ma'am. And she said, David, we are in desperate need. Right now we have only one junior doctor working with us. The other junior doctors too were there. Both of them went for their PJs. The one junior doctor I think is Dr. Krupa, who is working here right now, who is working in medicine right now. And I was thinking, okay, fine, sir, I'll think. I am not very sure whether I am supposed to come. I'm just trying this out. I don't want to rush in. And again, I was not very sure whether to go there or not. And I was praying and praying. And in the meanwhile, when I told all this decision to my mother, she was so furious. She said, how did I raise you? How much time I spent on you? If you leave me and go, is this the reason I brought you up? And we had some discussions, arguments, and she wanted me to be godly, but she did not want me to be over godly according to that period of time. So she said, don't go there. If you are going to US or something, it's okay, she said, at that point of time. I said, see, I'll be much more farther in US than in Assam. But he said, you'll suffer there. I said, I don't know whether I'll suffer or not. It is God's calling. I have to maybe go. So, but still I did not decide yet, I said. So then I was still praying. In the meanwhile, I thought, I am wasting time. Let me go and work in a hospital. I have to earn money like Saul did, so let me go and work and earn for myself. I don't want to eat from my parents, I thought. And I went and joined a hospital called Sigma Hospital. It was in Hyderabad. I joined there and I was working. It was nearly 1 month. It was 15 days work and they would pay me 12,000 or something for 15 days at that point of time. So I said, okay, I'll work. And I was working and they were asking me to do some illegal stuff, write unnecessary investigations, charge unnecessarily, do an unnecessary CT, and I was not at all complying with them. And anyways, I was working, but they did not have any other person, so they were bearing with me and they were letting me run it as the junior doctor there. And after that, suddenly one day my brother asked me, what happened? You're still here, you said you will go. When are you going? I said, I have to really pray. So I thought, okay, fine, I'll use Gideon's story in my life. I went to God and said, Lord, I am really in necessity of a decision right now. I have to move. I want to go to some place. If this is Makunda, please let me know. And how will I know? I don't know, because I already called Dr. Vijay. Let him call me back. If he calls me back today, I'll go to Makunda. If he doesn't call me, I'll apply to ODC. More or less. This is what my plan was. And the whole day was going off. Nobody is calling me. And the midnight, I was doing night duty that day at 11:30 or something. Sir calls me and he says, David, if you are willing to come, this is the right time. We don't have anybody. We are totally very much in need. And then I said, okay, sir, I'll come, but when should I come? He said, if you can come today, come today. It was that urgent, he said. I was very much surprised about how God answered again. And I was thinking, okay, Lord, if you are so persistent, I'll move on to this place. So I thought, I will resign this place and I'll go. But they said, if you resign this, you'll not get the money immediately. You'll not get the pay. You have to give 2 months' notice to get the pay. I said, okay, fine. What can I do? Okay, I went there and I was praying and I said, Lord, I'll go and ask. I'm going for a noble cause to work with poor people. If they give me the money, it will be fine. And I was getting ready to go to the hospital that day to ask for resignation and my money. When I was getting ready, I was going to get out of the room, and the hospital manager calls me and said, Sir, is it possible you have some time? I want to talk to you. What is that? He said, I am very sorry, but we don't need your services anymore. Can you please come and collect your check? I was so surprised because I was really running away from God. And He called me so much. I was so shocked with the persistence of God in my life that He moved the whole hospital management to just bring me to Him. Following that, I'm sorry, I'm a little emotional with God, but that was what was happening in my life. I thought slowly it will be very easy for me to go to Mission Hospital, but I understood the traveling to Makunda was very difficult. At that point of time, I did not have 1 rupee, I don't have a bank account. And the money which they gave was the first fruit, so I just gave it off in the church. So my balance was literally zero. And I asked my brother, how will I go? I decided I'll go, I promised I'll come. So how will I go? Then he said, I will pay for your tickets. You don't worry about those things. So he bought a ticket for me from Kolkata to Agartala because we were short on money. But from Hyderabad to Kolkata, he bought a train ticket and we got a reservation. So that day when I had to go, I really had a big fight with my mother because I was going and I did not want to listen to her and she did not want me to go. And finally, somehow we took the car and we moved. 2 kilometers away, the petrol got finished. It was midnight. Then again, like Sir was telling, Satan puts a doubt in your heart, whether he is actually doing or not. I was thinking whether I am actually going in God's will or this is my own emotions which I am being driven with. Within 2 minutes, one person came, I don't know from where, on a cycle. He said, well, what happened, sir? You need petrol, there you'll get. And he took us there and we got the petrol for some time and we filled in and we got to a petrol bunk and we got the petrol filled. And I went to the railway station. At 5 o'clock was the train. I had a 40-kilo bag. I went to the railway station only to know that the train was cancelled. I was seeing, my goodness, how will I go now? Because I'm more worried about the money which I paid for the flight. If I don't reach there, the flight will get cancelled and I have to lose so much money. It was 3,000 rupees or something, but that was very high for me at that point. I was thinking at that time, then they said there is a special train which is going to Kolkata, which is going to Guwahati actually. But we will not give you any reservation, you have to go on your own. I said, fine, if God has opened a door, then I'll just go. So I went to the train and I went in that and I stood there. I nearly stood for 26 hours to Kolkata because there was no place to sit in that. Because the train was so crowded because that day there was an interview for IIT Kharagpur, I think. I don't know if Kharagpur is there. There was an IIT interview, so all of them got into the train. I stood there from there till Kolkata. I was so tired. And in the middle, I could sleep half an hour. I had 1,000 rupees. My brother gave me 1,000 rupees. He told, I'll give you my ATM card. If you need, I can put money in this, he said. I said, no, why will I take a card? How will I send it back? It's okay, God is there, don't worry. Okay, I took that 1,000 rupees only and I went. So I was too tired, so I gave him 200 rupees so that I can sleep in that place where the attendants sleep. So 2 of us were there. one fellow, other fellow, and me, we both went and slept in that room, in that small cabin for 200 rupees for half an hour. For half an hour, it took that much. I got out, got to Kolkata, I paid 10 rupees, took a bath, and I thought, okay, now I'm fresh, I'll take a taxi and I'll go. And Kolkata taxi was only 200 rupees, I paid 200 rupees, I had 600 left. On the way to the airport, I stopped at a sweet shop and I thought I'll buy some sweets for Dr. Vijay and Dr. Ann. And I bought some 200 rupees ka sweet and then traveled to airport, reached the airport, and I was very hungry and I was very sleepy. So I went and there was nothing there in the airport. I did not know. That was my first time entering inside an airport. I thought something I can eat, but everything was super costly. And only one that coffee place was there where donuts were there. Cafe Coffee Day. I went there and I bought a donut and it was 250 rupees. I mean, I ate that. I thought I'll be ready to go and I opened one book called Screwtape Letters and I was trying to read it. And I did not know when I slept off. The flight was at 5:45. I woke up at 5:40 and they were calling my name like so many times. And the gate was closed already. I ran there with my big bag and I said, sir, please allow me. This is my first time going. I have only 400 rupees in my pocket. Can you please allow me to go? They tried to check my bag and they said, this flight doesn't allow 40 kilos, it allows only 20 kilos. And he took out all the saman. My heart was sinking down. I was thinking, how will I even go now? And if I have to go back, I have only 400 rupees. How will I reach Hyderabad if I have to go back even? I was struck down. I was thinking, at every point there is an obstacle. How am I going to move ahead? Is this really God's will? I was thinking. And then I took my bag and I went out. They did not allow. They said, tomorrow there is a flight. If you can book for that, you can book it. So I thought I'll call my brother. And I took my phone, only to find that I don't have balance in my phone. And at that time, you cannot even receive incoming in an STD place if you don't have balance. So my brother was calling me. He was unable to reach me. I was trying to call. I don't have money. And I don't know where to recharge there. I had a big bag with me. I was standing there in the night. One person was going on a bike. I called him and said, sir, can I use your phone? Just 1 minute. I called my brother some 15 to 20 times roughly. He did not answer the call. I was thinking, okay, fine. I think I was too overzealous and I just overshot it. I just came back. I thought I'll go back. But how will I go back? So I was trying to find ways. Then suddenly after 1 hour, this guy who gave me the phone comes back. He went away outside of the airport on his bike and he came back into the airport completely to the place where I was standing again, searching me. And he said, sir, your brother is calling on the phone. So I did not understand how a person who left airport for a stranger, he'll come back and he'll give the phone and say, your brother is calling. And I did not understand how God can make these things. And I was still standing there at that point. And he gave me the phone and I talked to my brother and my brother called Dr. Vijay and everybody. And he tried to book a ticket online. It was not possible because he said, for that, at that point, you have to pay directly. Otherwise, you have to pay so much amount directly. If it is a allowance which they are giving, then you have to pay only 1,000 or 2,000. I was thinking, okay, fine, how will I do then? Dr. Vijay called somebody and from TLM in Kolkata. One person came and he gave me 2,000 rupees and gave me nice scolding and said, how can you come so ill-prepared? It's so bad it is. And he gave me 1,500 rupees extra and said, this is for you. Keep it. It will always come in use. So I went and paid the ticket, slept off in the lounge there. And I was lying down on the chair comfortably. And next day when I was going in that flight, they said, you can take all these 40 kilos. You can carry each and every single thing which you brought. And they did not take any of my weight away. I was understanding that God was so concerned about what even I like when I was going to such a place. I was wondering, so I was afraid of so many things while taking these steps. I was afraid of how will my PG be, how will my marriage be, how will my finances be. So many doubts I had. But I always, somehow, God has been talking to me in the fellowships and the places where I was meeting with the friends of God. I was always challenged with these verses in Matthew 6:25 to 33, where what are you going to gain by worrying? Don't worry about food, clothing, nothing, don't worry. Don't worry, just trust God and seek Him, and blessed God will take care of. I am not saying I went for the rest of the things because I did not know what will be there. I did not even know Makunda actually pays salaries at that point of time. I thought I'll go there, I don't know, some chicken or egg, something they will give, I'll eat. I did not have an idea. I was literally naive. That was little ill-prepared of me. But God was graceful enough to consider me worthy and use in His kingdom at that point. I went there, and when I was going back, I got down in Agartala, and a driver came and picked me up. And we were going on the way to Agartala, on the way to Ambasa, a small branch of Makunda. A group of thugs came up with all these sickles, and they put it on the car and said, "Get out." I was like, "What?" I somehow came to Makunda. How are you asking me to get out of this? But when the driver spoke to them in their local language, which was Bangla, he spoke to them and he said, "These are all, he's a doctor, he's coming to Makunda," and all these things. I said, okay. They checked my ID and they said, "Okay, he's a doctor, and I'll let him go." So that's how I went. Finally, I reached Makunda, and as I said, I was so afraid, and I'm a very picky eater. I don't know how I'll survive in a place where I don't get Telugu food or a South Indian food. I went there, and to my surprise, Dr. Ann has already arranged one person who can cook South Indian food. And the first day, what I ate was idli, dosa, which was standard to nearly equal to the South Indian standards. And I was like, God, He can make provisions everywhere. And it was amazing about how God provides a way and asks us to look at it, asked me to look unto Him and not give up at every point. This is not a story of my faithfulness to Him. Obviously, I was doubting Him at every point, but I'm sure this is God's faithfulness in my life, at least for that point of time. I am not whole and I am not perfect still, and I know it is a process which still goes on. And when I went to Makunda, I was really blessed. I did not know anything. I mean, Krupa was quite a lot helpful to me there. She was my batch only, but she was so helpful. I learned nearly most of my medicine from her at that point. And there was one more doctor named Dr. Athing from pediatrics, and Dr. Ann in anesthesia. She was dealing gynecology also at the time. They taught me so much. And I did so many things which people did not even imagine. People, leave alone people, I did not even imagine I would be even thinking of that. But God has been so merciful. I was praying for my PG. I was surprised whether I would even get a PG. My friend said, "What will you do if you don't get a PG?" I said, "I'll get a PG." "What will you do if you don't get?" "It will finish now." And in one first attempt which I gave, I got into a PG. Anyways, it is all God's grace. I just wanted to inform this. God has always been faithful and merciful in my life. And I know this is not the story of everybody, but this is the story of God in everybody's life. And hope God will bless you and encourage you with my life. Thank you.